I'm not afraid to tackle the eucalyptus question. So here's my political philosophy, my personal philosophy, my social philosophy, right? I want to create a show where I can walk down the street and say, "G'day, g'day, how you going? What do you know? Well, strike a light. G'day, g'day, and how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right. Come on. Come on, man, cut out the malarkey. Isn't it great to be an Aussie? Taking a walk along the street, looking in shops or buying a paper, stopping and having a yarn with people that you meet, down at the pub or at a party, whenever you're stuck for what to say. If you want to be dinky die, why don't give it a try? Look them right in the eye and say, g'day. G'day, g'day. How you going? What do you know? We'll strike a light. G'day, g'day. And how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right. Now, when Italians meet, they all go crazy. The blokes all like to hug each other too. The Yanks invented hi and see you later, while the Pommy will shake your hand and say, how do you do? Now watch out for a Frenchman or he'll kiss you. The Spaniards go for ole and hola. But in the land of the cockatoo, polecats and the didgeridoo, when you meet an Aussie, 10 to 1 is what he'll say. G'day, g'day. How you going? G'day, g'day. What do you know? G'day, g'day. And how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right. It's a greeting that you'll hear across Australia, from Geraldton to Goulburn to Gundagai. It's as dinkum as the dingo and the dahlia, and you spell it with a G apostrophe A-D-A-Y. G'day, g'day. I'm not afraid to tackle the eucalyptus question either, mate. All right.
For pretty much every job under the sun. I applied for packing shelves in shopping centres. And the comments said, oh, what do you need a job for? Oh, you don't need this.
You don't generally get jobs by applying for them. You generally get jobs because your rabbi got you a job, or your pastor hooked you up for a job, or your friends have hooked you up with a job, or you know someone who knows someone. That's how you get jobs. You don't usually get them submitting formal applications.
Oh, don't be silly. Oh, I had a sponsor who said, mate, apply for the job. Done. And the manager from their head office rang up and said, oh, mate, said, you're going up against 22-year-old kids. You're 32.
Bracken's career began to unravel when he was injured in 2006.
Look, there are a lot of jobs where it doesn't matter if you're going up against a 19-year-old or a 29-year-old. There are plenty of jobs where you'll get hired at age 60, right? So you need to have some skills, but most important, you need to be at ease with yourself. If you can get along with other people, right? If you can go to a workplace and not want to go postal on the very nice Chinese co-workers, all right? If you can just get along with other people, then life's just a matter of walking down the street saying g'day, right? You get along with others and it's like, g'day, 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 love. G'day, mate. G'day, Sheila. G'day, Rob. G'day, Rabbi. G'day, Father. G'day, Pastor. That's life. If you get along with others, it's nothing but g'day, g'day. How you going? G'day, g'day. What do you know?
As you can see there at the bottom, that's the cross-section of the knee.
And so what is it? What is that damage? What had you done?
Torn the cartilage. And then from there, it sort of continued. December was when it really got bad. And it was in the middle of a 9-10 over spell and getting towards the back end of that spell, the knee started to get sore. I felt it grab.
So did you know at that point that that was the beginning of the end for you?
No. I just thought, oh, well, it's something, get it fixed and life goes forward.
From then on until his retirement, his knee progressively got worse. Basically what he was told was, it's bone bruising, it will get better.
Okay, so guess what? If you're a professional athlete, your employer has a certain interest, which is frequently different from your interest, right? Your employer has an interest in getting you back on the cricket pitch, and getting the bloody Poms out, getting the curry eaters out, getting the Kiwis out, like taking wickets, right? No, I came here to take wickets and to talk about ethno-nationalism. And I'm tired of talking about ethno-nationalism. I'm just here to take wickets, right? This guy's mission in life is to take wickets, right? That's why he gets paid the big bucks. But you can't expect other people to always have your interests, right? You have to be able to be prepared to look squarely, fairly, right in the eye, directly. What are my interests? Understand what are other people's interests, right? Your interests and other people's interests are frequently going to clash. The interests of eucalyptus trees and the native vegetation that they're going to displace are different. Right? Different groups have different interests. Different people have different interests. Not even your wife's interests and your interests are going to be identical. But to a certain type of like losing personality, and this is not to condemn him or to condemn anyone, it is though a losing attitude, is to, I'm just going to completely put myself in the hands of other people who have different interests than me, because looking at reality is just too painful. All I want to do is be a cricketer. So I'm just going to keep playing cricket, even if it's going to lead to negative long-term repercussions. And I'm not going to get any independent investigation, right? If you're willing to be an under-earner, there are no end of people who will screw you over. Like, if you're willing to be raped by various blokes, you'll get raped by various blokes. If you're willing to be abused by your employer, you'll be abused by your employer. If you're willing to be verbally abused by your wife, you'll get verbally abused by your wife. We get what we accept, what we put up with, all right? If you're not going to look out for yourself, who bloody is? No one is, generally speaking. You can't just go through life like, I hope I meet a bloke who gives me a good corrective experience. Or, I hope I meet a Sheila who, looks after me and gives me the right advice about my bum knee, right? You don't take charge of your bum knee. You don't get independent investigations of your bum knee. You just like, I'll just turn it all over to the Australian Cricket Board. Why would the Australian Cricket Board want anything but what's best for me? Well, the interests of the Australian Cricket Board are going to be different than your interests. Your boss's interests are going to be different than your interests. Your wife's interests will be somewhat different than your interests. Your kids' interests are going to be different from your interests. Your rabbi's interests are going to be different from your interests. So if you're not willing to stand on your own 2 feet, look out for yourself, you're just going to get abused.
He fought to get scans.
Well, he didn't fight very effectively, did he? Like, all these people want to say that their problems are everyone else's fault. Oh, it's the bloody Australian Cricket Board. It's the bloody Olympic Committee. It's the bloody Australian Swimming Board. Like, they didn't give me the right scans. They didn't give me the right care. They didn't give me the right support. That's the one that kills me. All these poofters wanting support. Bloody hell. When you're on your deathbed, that's when you should want support, not a minute before.
He was given prescription medication.
Oh my God, he was given prescription medication. And did you ever think of like independently investigating that, love? Did you ever like check with some different medical perspectives? Or it's like, the Australian Cricket Board wants me to take these meds. I better take these meds so I can take 7 wickets at the SCG against the bloody Palms.
Just to mask it. And he played with that injury to the point where he...
Yeah, and did anyone put a gun to his head? No, he chose this. This is the life he chose. Like, it's like you're in the mafia. This is the life you chose. People shoot at you. You shoot at them. Like, I choose to be a live streamer. It comes with certain downsides. This is the life I chose.
He couldn't straighten his knee any longer.
Like, I tried to get out of this. You think I wanted to be on here 20 hours a week? I tried to get out, but the bloody streaming mafia, they won't let me get out. Like, I wanted to be respectable. I wanted to be able to hold my head up high. I wanted to be a regular bloke. I wanted to be a respectable man, right? But they forced me to produce these live streams. I'm here completely against my will. And when the pain gets too intense, they give me some opiates. And I take some opiates, and then I go into a drug sleep. But, I really wish I wasn't here doing these live streams. I really wish that I was out there doing accounting. Like, all my life, all I've really wanted to be is an accountant. But the powerful live streaming mafia, mate, they make me take these meds. They won't give me the scans I need. I need antipsychotics. I need, a certain type of psychodynamic therapy. And they won't give it to me. They just keep pushing me out here. Like, turn on the bloody camera, get your lights right, get the nice sunny, orange, filter so that we have this kind of, sunset glow to your streams. And, let's check your sound levels and go out there and deliver, mate, because this is your life. You have no choice. I'm like that bloke who got lost in the Brazilian jungle and he got rescued and his life got saved by this eccentric bloke who all he wanted in return was for the bloke to read Dickens to him. So he reads him Dickens and he gradually heals. And after a few months, he says, okay, I'm healed. Now I want to get back to civilization. I got a wife and kids in the UK. And but the man who loved Dickens said, no. And the man who loved Dickens, he had power over all the natives. So there was no way for this guy to get away. And when a rescue party came by, the man who loved Dickens, right, he put something in your drink. And so you passed out. The rescue party came, couldn't find you. And so you're stuck reading Dickens for the rest of your life to some wacko in a Brazilian jungle. And you think that's bad? Well, that's the situation I'm in. The bloody, streaming mafia, they got me here against my consent, forced to, pour out these nonsense live streams. Man, I really wished I was an accountant. I really wish that right now I was just going over some figures. But instead, I have to pump out these live streams. They got a gun to my head. You can't see it, but believe me.
His wife, Hayley, watched her husband's decline.
There were times when Nathan would wake up in the morning and he couldn't walk. So he would hobble around like he was 80, 90. And I was scared. I'd say to him, you've got to say something, you've got to do something. And he'd respond and say, I am saying there's something wrong, but I'm not getting anywhere.
With the backing of Cricket Australia, Bracken played on through 3 operations and years of rehab until he could simply play no more.
It's with great regret that I have to announce.
Well, what about the toll that this live streaming takes on my body? Do you understand the back pain that I'm fighting through? I got pinched nerve here in my neck. I've got I had to replace my tonsils. I have to go in for regular voice box replacements. Right, the toll that this live stream takes on my body. But do I complain? Do I talk about it? Do I get all teary-eyed? Do I say, oh, I want some scans? Do I say, oh, I want a second opinion? No, I just accept. The answer is acceptance, guys.
It was a lot easier last night in practices. That I will be retiring from all forms of cricket effectively immediately.
Bracken went to see Cricket Australia to ask what it had in place for players forced to retire because of injury.
So he went to meet with...
Oh, he went to Cricket Australia. He's like, oh, what do you have in place for players who can no longer play cricket? Well, what do you bloody think Cricket Australia has in place for people who no longer play cricket? You think they've got like 17 feeder programs into alternative professions? It's like those Sheilas who pose for Playboy. Then they expect for the rest of their life that Playboy's going to be there to look after them. So I remember like interviewing or knowing about porn stars like this. They didn't start out doing double penetration with ex-parolees, right? They started out doing some, bikini modeling, and then they met a photo scout and said, oh, you look great in Playboy. So they get $10,000 for posing for Playboy. And then they think that, Playboy's just going to take care of them for the rest of their life. And it doesn't work out that way. So it's like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to suck off, 6 parolees, just to earn an honest living. And so then they, do more and more extreme forms of porn. And who's at fault here? Like, who's to blame? It's bloody Playboy. They didn't take care of me for the rest of my life, right? They didn't provide me with alternative means of making a living. So I have to do these bloody double penetration saws and double penetration scenes. And, oi, is my bum real sore right now? But I got no choice. I gotta provide for my family. And it's all the fault of Cricket Australia and bloody Hugh Hefner and Playboy magazine. They don't have, enough support.
Them just to see if they could cover the medical costs. And the term they used, or the words that they used was, if you want anything from us, you have to sue us.
Okay, so when this guy went to play for Cricket Australia, did he really think that like Cricket Australia was just going to take care of him for the rest of his life? He was going to take care of his medical costs after he could no longer play for Cricket Australia, like Sheila's opposed for Playboy. They really think that, you know, Hugh Hefner and company are just going to be there for their every need, for their every beck and call, right? Now, I've been out on the town. I've shown the ladies a good time. Now, I bought them a nice dinner. I've opened the doors for them. I've taken them on fancy vacations. You know, I bought them the odd bit of clothing. You know, showered them with, you know, lingerie and certificates that they can buy books. That doesn't mean, though, that I'm going to pay for all of your expenses, you know, for the rest of, you know, your God-given, you know, natural life, you know, just because one or two things happened, you know, in the back of my, you know, 1958 Chevy.
There's no system in place to take care of players that have career.
Why do you want a bloody system to take care of players? Like, why don't you take care of yourself? Why don't you have friends? Why don't you have family? Why don't you have a rabbi? Why don't you have a rebbe? Everybody needs a rebbe. Why don't you have relationships with a priest, a religious community, an ethnic community? Why aren't you learning job skills? Why didn't you study in school? Why don't you have friends? Why don't you read a book?
Career-ending injuries. It's short and sharp. See you later. Thanks for coming.
This is Dancing with the...
Short and sharp. Some of them like short and sharp. All right? It doesn't always have to be, you know, long and soft. It doesn't always have to be long and blunt. You know, short and sharp, you know, it's got its advantages. But just because you get the old short and sharp doesn't mean that you should expect to be taken care of for the rest of your life. And to earn an honest crust, if you have to go on, you know, Dancing with the Stars, well, that's what you got to do.
Stars. Cricket hero Nathan Bracken.
Do you really think I wanted to direct what women want? You know, do you really think I wanted to give up my honor? I was just like trying to pay the bills. Like, you really think I wanted to appear in some, you know, lowbrow, you know, B movie like Apricot Sky? But I was just trying to pay the bills, mate. You really think I wanted to like whore myself out for, you know, as an escort for women of a certain age? You know, I take them to, you know, fancy dinners and, you know, fancy dancing and, you know, just squiring, you know, these women of a certain age all around town. I was just trying to pay the bills, mate.
Floundering and worried about money, the Brackens accepted an invitation to go on the reality TV show Dancing with the Stars.
Nathan and Hayley Bracken, the first ever married couple to compete on Dancing with the Stars. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever. But Bracken, still struggling with the injury, was booted out at first opportunity. The first couple to leave Dancing with the Stars for 2011 is Nathan and Marsha.
Look, there are porn stars who got incurable anal warts, right? It's not a lot of fun to have incurable anal warts. Like, no matter what they do, where they go, if they find God, if they find Christianity, if they find Judaism, if they find Islam, if they become terrorists for the Islamic State, if they go Hollywood and become, you know, mainstream actresses, some of them, they'll always have incurable anal warts. Well, that's the price for being a porn star who does, you know, certain types of scenes with certain type of people. You're, you know, pretty good odds of coming down with incurable anal warts. So that's the price for the life you chose. And if you want to be a top tier sportsman, it's going to put some strain on your body. And if you don't look out for your own physical welfare, then you might well end up on Dancing with the Stars.
I went into it with the approach of, I want to achieve something. I don't want to feel useless and worthless anymore.
Okay, so there are probably, you know, better ways of achieving something. And okay, this is the key here. I don't want to feel worthless and useless anymore. That's the key. This bloke feels useless and worthless unless other people are giving him adoration. Now, it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of work, takes a lot of discipline to start to give yourself the respect, adoration, understanding, compassion that you desire other people to give you. takes a bit of work to start feeling useful. How do you feel useful? You contribute to other people's lives. Like right now, I am live streaming before a gigantic audience of 21 people. And left and right in this 21 people are just getting zapped by the wisdom that is flowing from this live stream. Like the crackling insights into life, right? People are like, it's like, oh, 40, I can't take any more usefulness. Like 40, I can't take any more insight. Like 40, that cutting edge commentary was just too short and sharp. Like 40, cut it out with a short and sharp commentary. It's just too much for me, mate. Like here I am, just a humble bloke, just a worker among workers, just 20 people, and just transforming lives. All right, moving people out of the losing lane into the winning lane. Right, helping people find a life that works. All right, so that's how you become useful. You contribute to other people's lives. I could have spent this afternoon, I fully intended to spend this afternoon lying down. I was wiped. I was exhausted. I could have just spent the whole afternoon very, very happily listening to podcasts with author Martin Gurri, former CIA media analyst. And I would have had a nice, serene afternoon listening to these podcasts, just lying there, allowing my head to lengthen away from my torso, for my back to lengthen and widen, to let go of any weird muscular holding patterns in my lower back. I could have just Alexander technique my way through the afternoon with the greatest of ease. Might have gone out, got a bit of sun, might have said g'day, g'day, might have, walked down to the shops, bought a paper, made a light. I could have gone fishing. Right, just walk through Beverly Hills saying g'day, g'day, g'day. But instead, Laponius Maximus is not even here, right? Laponius Maximus, 3:09 p.m. sends me an email, bro, ? It's like, I know Laponius Maximus, he's a hard worker. He needs a bit of a laugh. I really ought to force myself to get on there and do a live stream. Do it for your old mate, Laponius Maximus. And then Laponius Maximus, he leaves. It's like, oh, sorry, I got stuff to do. So here I'm 35 minutes in. I'm just, warming up. I've got these short, sharp insights, just all lined up to deliver. And the whole reason for the stream, is no longer there. It's like, I'm feeling like, oh, I need some new scans. I need some new meds. But, I hang in there, and I got to be honest, the wicket turns sticky. And those cricket balls that are coming at me, the bit of turn in the wicket, mate, right? So I started out with my stream, and the wicket was clean and firm and straight, and I was just seeing that ball come into my bat, and I was just knocking all the topics for six. But then you get into the live stream after a while, and the wicket starts to turn, mate, right? Like it starts to get scuffed. Like the bloody bowler sent me a bloody Yorker. I had to dig down to stop the Yorker from hitting my stumps. And so I scuffed up the wicket. And now the bloody bowler, he's always aiming for that scuffed bit of the wicket because the ball gives a completely unpredictable turn there. Right. So, it started out, it was just like fast bowlers. But now they switched to spin bowlers because the wicket's taking turn. So that ball's coming down. All right, it's not coming down at 100 miles an hour anymore. It's coming down at 60 miles an hour. But then it's landing and it's taking turn. It's like moving like 12, 18 inches. All right? So I'm having to adjust on the fly. The wicket's taking turn, like the sun's going down. Right? I'm not seeing things as clearly. I'm starting to get tired. I've been at the wicket for hours, but I know that Australia needs me. I know that if we're going to win the Ashes, I got to stand here and I got to deliver. I got to fight through to my century. Like the whole nation is on my shoulders. And yeah, I'm a bit tired and Laponius isn't here anymore, but I want to be useful to my country. So the wicket's taken turn, right? The ball is just going this way and that, but I'm still here protecting my stumps. You're not bloody taking my wicket, mate. It'd be so easy to just throw my wicket away cheaply right now. Right? It's like, I've had a good knock. I got 57 runs on the board. Now I've got more runs on the board than anyone else today. Let me just have a good slog at this ball. Maybe I'll make a 6 or maybe I'll get out. But I'm tired. I'd like to have a nice, few cold drinks with some Sheilas back in the locker room. But no, do you see me here throwing away my wicket? All right, the wicket's taken turn, but I'm not throwing away not the wicket. Is it the wicket? No, the pitch. The pitch is taking turn, but I'm not throwing away my wicket, mate. All right. So you can bring in your spin bowlers, right, and they can throw me googlies, right? They can go with the leg spin, and then you can mix me up with the off spin, and I'm standing here, and the whole bloody Packy team, they're all around me. We've got a silly mid on. We've got a silly mid off. All right? They've got 5 blokes in the slips. All right? I am surrounded by the entire Pakistani team. I make one mistake, right? If that ball catches an edge and pops up into the air, I very well, throw my wicket away. But I'm not going to throw my wicket away. I'm standing here. I'm surrounded by the opposition. And there's a silly mid on and there's a silly mid off. Right? And am I going to just throw away my wicket? Right? There's a short square leg. There's the wicket keeper. We've got 3 blokes in the slips. We got a gully. Right? Here's the silly point. We got a short leg, got a short mid on, right? We got a short mid off. We got gully, point, cover, mid off, non-striker. That's the other batter, right? They're all around, but I'm hanging in there. I'm not throwing away my wicket. I'm doing it for Australia. Doing it for Australia because I'm dinky die. I'm true blue. Bloody hell. Do it for Australia.
I want to achieve something. It didn't work. I came out of that probably worse than when I went in. I felt like I was a failure again. That I couldn't achieve anything. I couldn't do basic things.
Look, if you feel like Australia, it's a failure, it's not because you got bowled out for a golden duck. Right? If you feel like a failure, it's not because you didn't take any wickets at the MCG, even when the pitch was starting to turn. If you feel like a failure because you can't get a job, or you don't have a Sheila, or you don't have a family, or you're not married, or you're not earning 6 figures, or you can't afford to go on vacation, or you don't get the respect that you feel like you deserve when you go to synagogue, the external is not the point. The internal stuff is the point, right? The reason you feel like a failure is because you're telling yourself that you're a failure, right? You've got these abusive habits, right? Maybe your mom made you feel bad about yourself. Maybe your dad got excited when you got good grades and he was bummed out when you didn't. And maybe your grandma ignored you as a form of punishment. Maybe your dad has epilepsy and he terrified you each time he had a seizure. Maybe you have an older brother who got all the looks and all the attention. Maybe your mom was depressed and you were preoccupied with making her feel better. Right? There could be lots of reasons why you abuse yourselves, why you're unable to validate your own emotions.
But if you do feel something different, which is what I was doing when you were talking to Annie, I was feeling all different kinds of emotions, other than anger. And I it's the first time I ever felt that way. And it wasn't even me talking. I was just feeling what I was feeling, as you were saying, go ahead and feel instead of think.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems is we overthink.
Are you aware of feeling anything right now as we're talking?
Right now, I'm feeling like for 10 years I've missed the whole thing. For 10 years of trying to get over this, I have missed the whole point.
Yeah.
By overthinking it.
Yeah. What are you feeling right now? As we're talking, as you go inside.
I'm feeling some openness. I was feeling a lot of heaviness in my chest.
I'm hearing sadness, Ginger.
Yes.
Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am. I'm very sad.
Good. See if you
because
can just... No, because.
Feeling sad.
Because. Just
okay.
Focus on the feeling of sadness. We don't want to get into, overanalyzing,
okay.
the precipice for it and everything, but you feel sad right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you just to check in and explore what sadness feels like for you. What does it feel like in your body? What happens to your body when you feel sad? How is that manifested? You don't need to say anything. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to lead it. You don't need to make it go to one emotion or another. You let the emotions lead. And all you do is you're just an observer, and you follow it, and you give yourself that space that you were talking about, that openness to feel it. And
okay, Babs, what's up, bro?
You just let yourself feel this.
You ready to give yourself the openness
happening?
that you need to?
I'm crying.
Babs, you joined the show.
Good.
Speak to me.
Just let yourself feel this sadness, okay?
Babs, let yourself feel the sadness.
I think that there's a long time where you were...
Babs, feel the sadness.
Trying to figure out your emotions.
Babs
right
leaves
now,
the
what
meeting.
You're doing is you're just letting yourself feel. Just let yourself feel. And I want you to, as
Babs,
you're
are you ready
feeling,
to feel the
just
sadness?
Be aware of what's going on in your body. See if you can familiarize yourself with the feeling of softness.
I can't
in your
hear you,
eyes,
Babs.
and maybe a feeling of
Speak up.
heaviness in your stomach or
Bloody
your
hell.
chest. And right now we're teaching, your right brain, we're teaching your inner child that it's okay for you to feel this way, and it's safe for you to feel this emotion right now. I think for a long time, you felt like it may not have been safe, and so your mind was eliciting a lot of defense mechanisms. But, right now, at this very moment at least, it feels like it's safe. And that's what we want to teach you, that's okay. You see that?
Yes.
I bet it feels relieving for you to allow yourself to feel the sadness, doesn't it?
Yes.
Something that you've been holding in for a long time.
I had to stop thinking.
Yeah, you just had to
Babs,
let yourself
you ready to feel the
and
sadness, bro?
I'll tell you, Ginger, you let yourself feel like that.
Babs, I can't hear you,
and
man.
it will just pass.
Bloody hell.
And your body is so happy, it rewards you with
Hello.
a break from your
Hello.
anxiety.
Okay, I can hear
slight
you. What's going
reduction
on?
in your pain.
Dinky die.
Right?
Yeah, you ready
That's
to
what
be
happens.
dinky die? You're going to be a puffter, mate?
Those are my only two options. Seems kind
Yeah,
of like
you can
a
either be dinky die
false
or you can be
dichotomy.
a puffter, mate. Nothing false about it. That's just how the world works. God made it this way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Luke, I thought you'd want to know. I think that we should to add to the professionalism of the show. I think that we should run unnecessary advertisements in the middle of it. Like, for instance, let's go to the classic. My Patriot Supply, trusted self-reliance. Your survival is our only mission, and it shows a picture of Luke Ford's face and encased in an orb of angelic light. You know where I am, Luke Ford?
You're with yourself, bro. You're with your best self.
I'm on
right
mypatriotsupply.com/pages/prepare with Luke.
Oh, preparewithluke.com. It's the best, man.
Yeah, let's go. Prepare with Luke. Can you pull this up? I don't think our audience has seen it. Like, this is actually amazing. It's your face is encased on the American flag in an orb of celestial light. And it says, prepare with Luke Ford. Limited time, special savings. Keep your freedom and support your family. Invest in an economic food supply. So when there's an economic collapse, investing in an emergency food supply when there's an economic collapse is the right decision, Luke Ford says. Special, and it says, do you have enough food stockpiled in case of a major emergency? And it shows these delicious looking dishes that actually, I'd eat some of that. I'd shovel some of that into my body for sure. You can get 2,000 plus calories a day with 284 servings. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, and drinks, and you can save 20% a day at a limited time offer. Honestly, it's only like $200, give or take, and you know, you can get this food has up to a 25-year shelf life. You get 10 different meals, 118 servings. You know, for you know, so if you're living with a you know family, that'll keep you going for 2 weeks. But honestly, you're smart with that. That can get you for much longer, especially if you're if it's just you know. So you can save $40 for limited time. And My Patriot, let me tell you about My Patriot Supply. They have been in business since 2008. They're not a Johnny-come-lately company like so many others. They've always believed in preparedness. Already, millions of American families like yours have acquired our top-quality, delicious emergency kits, assuring their survival no matter what happens next. COVID is causing severe food shortages. If you think the toilet paper crisis was bad, it was a sneak preview of what's to come. That's why the smart move now is to secure your family's personal supply of the most reliable emergency food you can buy. Having at least 4 weeks of food for every member of your household is no longer a luxury. It's mandatory. Act now and you can save 20%. Now, listen, this is the best part. And like, would it be possible for you to pull up some of the images of these meals on the screens? Because they actually don't look that bad, at least to me. Maybe that just shows how poor my quality of life is. But we start off creamy stroganoff. Creamy stroganoff. How does that sound, Luke?
Nothing better than a bunch of beef stricken off.
Yeah, especially if it has.
Wait, where'd you go, Babs? Babs, don't leave me now, bro. Oh, just as we were getting to the good stuff.
Your body is you know, it is trying desperately to get you to feel these feelings, but it doesn't have the power of speech. It's your right brain. The only way it can get a hold of you is, you know, through these symptoms.
So is the pain taking the place of the feelings?
Well, the pain is your mind's way of defending you from the feelings. We are all blessed with a litany of defense mechanisms to keep us from these feelings of pain. Anxiety, depression, pain, obsessiveness, rumination, you know, intellectualization. There's a lot of different defense mechanisms that our mind does in order to keep us from these feelings, but deep down we feel like these feelings aren't safe and we need something to keep us from them, and that's why our mind comes up with these defense mechanisms. So our job, you know, my job as a therapist and your job as being, you know, your own therapist, is to create a system or a situation where it becomes safe to feel these feelings, so you don't need these defense mechanisms. You don't need the pain. You don't need the chronic anxiety.